Fans are loving the One Piece live action adaptation, and I do too. I just finished binge watching all of the first seasons, and I have a lot of thoughts and opinions about this live action adaptation. While watching, I took down a lot of notes on my thoughts and ideas about this series, and this video is just going to be a combination of all those notes and telling you what my final rating of this series is. So let's start off with episode 1. The first thing I noticed when watching this series is that you get a magical feeling akin to what you feel like watching Lord of the Rings. You feel very immersed in the world, and you really feel like there's this cool, interesting world that you're about to enter into. The soundtrack is amazing, the world looks amazing, everything just draws you into the show. Another great thing is that the actors look like they actually love playing their characters. Like they look like they actually want to play these characters and that they want to do these characters justice, which is good because there's a lot of actors I feel like you can notice on screen when they don't want to play a specific character they're playing. Like Luffy, he is the perfect cast and his accent fits him so amazingly, which is so weird because I never really pictured Luffy with an accent. But when this guy gets on screen, he starts speaking and he has his accent, for some reason it just feels like it fits him so perfectly. And this actor also has all of Luffy's mannerisms, all his reactions and the way that he would respond to things. He has that all tied down. Like everything looks and feels like something Luffy would do. So the world is amazing, the cast is amazing so far. One thing I do want to say though is that the pacing is a lot quicker and it feels like it could be a little bit too quick. It feels like we're running through all these arcs, and it could be that the manga is so long and every single arc is a lot of chapters that the live action seems like it's not really moving as slow as the manga. Also, don't forget to subscribe because it's free and it really helps out a small channel like mine. Now let's get back to the video. It really does feel like this live action is moving a little bit too quick, and that is a concern of mine because I want to know what it's going to be looking like for season 2 or season 3. And some of you may be saying that moving quick is not a bad thing, which is not. But it's a bad thing where it really interrupts some of the storylines and the background stories that are always threshed out in the manga. For example, one problem I have with the live action adaptation is that they tend to do away with some of the most impactful moments of the beginning of the series. For example, one of my favorite moments in the beginning of One Piece is when Luffy is kidnapped and a gun is drawn on Shanks and his crew. Shanks' crew kills the guy that draws the gun on him and says that if you draw a gun, you must be prepared to use it, basically. They don't have that scene in the live action adaptation. Instead, they have a scene when Zoro says to a guy who draws a sword, if you draw a sword, you better be prepared to use it. Which is a nod to the original scene, but it's not the same feeling you get while reading that original scene. It doesn't feel as impactful, it doesn't feel like it matters too much as it did in the manga. Another impactful moment that was kind of misconstrued in the live action was Zoro eating the rice ball. In the manga, Zoro eats the rice ball off the ground after he's imprisoned. This is a very impactful moment because he's like, oh, he's defending the go, defending how Halempo throws her rice ball on the ground and stomps on it and stuff like that. This still happens in a live adaptation, but it happens inside a bar where Zoro is free and Halempo is basically just being a mean guard inside of a bar. It doesn't feel as impactful as the manga does because in the manga, Zoro is basically like on his deathbed. He's in prison, he's starving, he's on his last legs. And the fact that he's still willing to basically go with his moral code and eat this off the ground to please this girl and make sure she's not upset, even though he's on his deathbed, makes the moment a lot more impactful. Sure, the moment is still somewhat impactful even when he's still eating the rice ball off the ground, but he's no longer starving, no longer in that state where he's begging or under distress. He's just being himself, basically. It's not as impactful as it is in the manga. But the live action is very faithful for the most part though. And some changes that they do make are very good for the series. For example, Halempo's famous haircut, his bowl cut as I would say, Zoro ends up giving him that bowl cut in this live adaptation, which I think is a very funny and good moment to add on to the series. Something that's different from the manga, that doesn't really change the manga but makes it better. I also want to say I like that Nami was introduced more early on. I know that some manga fans may not like that, but I feel like it works and I feel like it fits the overall direction of the story. It seems like Oda has really taken this chance to redo parts of his series that maybe he wanted to do better, because now we're getting a big focus on Nami and we're also getting a big focus on Kobe. When you first read the manga, you get very introduced to Kobe, you get attached to him, but then you don't get to see him for a long time after that first arc. With this series, it's different. His arc happens alongside Luffy's arc, so you can see both sides, and it's very interesting. It does that better than the manga. But moving on from the first arc, the second arc with Buggy, I think was kind of underwhelming. I don't think we earned the fight with Buggy. We didn't really learn why he was a villain. Like, we knew he was a pirate and that he had a bounty and he destroyed the town, but we never really saw how impactful Buggy was on that town, like how much he caused torment to that town. We never earned that fight with Buggy. It felt more just like a side fight, if anything. It didn't feel impactful at all. And again, they cut out another impactful moment, one of my favorite moments from the beginning of the series, which is the dog that always stayed outside the shop where his owner died, regardless of Buggy destroying the town. That was one of the most sentimental moments. Some may argue the first sentimental moment of the series that is just cut out completely in the live adaptation, which I don't think is a good move, and which is why I say they're moving too quickly, because they're moving so quick they're not able to add in some of these best moments of the beginning of this series. Now moving on to Usopp's arc. His arc starts out amazing. Like, I would give it a 10 with how it starts out. And his arc slows down the pacing because he has 2 episodes for his arc, so his arc did not feel like it was rushed. So that first episode was so perfect. The pacing was slowed down. They're doing some stuff better than the manga. We see a lot with Kobe and Garp. And Usopp's character, his casting is amazing. His casting just knows how to play him perfectly. But that second episode of Usopp's arc is where things start to go down a little bit. One thing that I noticed is that, again, they're doing stuff different from the manga, which is fine. But like, Usopp kisses Kaya, which is not a big deal because we always knew Kaya was Usopp's love interest. But that doesn't happen in the manga, and it's kind of strange that they put it in the anime. It's like they're cementing something that wasn't cemented just yet. And also, what I really dock a lot of points off of Usopp's arc for is they reveal that Garp is Luffy's grandpa already. Mind you, this is a twist that was not supposed to be revealed until Ainy's lobby, and they're introducing this twist in the first 4 episodes of the series. My thing is that this twist doesn't feel impactful when you don't know all the backstory. You don't know how long the story's been going on for. The reason why that twist felt so impactful in the manga is because you've read the manga for so long, and suddenly everything clicks in your head of why things make sense now, because Luffy is the grandson of Garp. But now it just feels like we were supposed to know that from the start, which is not something that's true. It doesn't feel like a twist anymore. It just feels like where the plot was going regardless. And that was my biggest problem with Syrup Village, is that they removed the impactfulness of that twist and they revealed it way too early. But again, I think they're just trying to move this pacing quickly because, number one, I don't know if they're sure they're going to get a season 2. They don't know what the audience reception to this series is. After seeing all the audience reception, I'm sure they're going to get a season 2 at some point. But when they made it, they weren't sure, so they're trying to fit as much information to draw you into the series with the first season. But I don't think that's a twist that should have been revealed yet, at least until season 2. Now, Sanji's arc, Barati arc, is phenomenal. I would give that arc a 9 out of 10. And that arc changed so many things about the manga, but it did it in such a way that it never changed how things ended, and it still was written and casted well so that it didn't make the manga fans mad. Like, I was enjoying this kind of remix of the story. It wasn't anything too different, but it was definitely a lot different that didn't really happen in the manga. I enjoyed this arc a lot, and the only thing that I would say to critique is when Sanji is sent off. In the manga, that, again, impactful moments. In the manga, that moment was much more emotional. Everyone was crying, everyone was sobbing. In the live adaptation, it's just Sanji crying more or less, and he says like 2 lines and then they leave. It's nothing really too crazy and impactful in the live adaptation. So that would be my only critique of that arc. And also, it had a moment that it seemed like it was about to skip over Nami's arc, which I was very worried for a second. But they didn't. It was basically Arlong showing up to the ship to get the map from Luffy, which doesn't happen in the manga. But I was worried that they would have a moment there where Luffy defeats Arlong and they kind of just skip over Nami's arc, which they did not. Nami's arc ends the whole entire series, and I had to say her arc was perfect. There's nothing I would change about her arc. Everything was perfect. There's even one scene after Nami asked Luffy for his help. In the manga, you have that panel of like Luffy walking away and Usopp and Sanji in the background sitting perfectly like, let's go get him. Like, they have a recreation of that scene in the show, which feels so cool. Like, I wish they did that more in the show. I think that was like the only time that they actually did something like that, when a live adaptation copies the manga. Overall, I really love this One Piece adaptation. But I just hope that they slow down the pacing and they start breaking back the impactful moments that really made you fall in love with One Piece at the beginning. Because understand that when you first read the manga, you're not really sure what One Piece is. And I know, at least for me, the first couple arcs, I felt like it was just a rinse and repeat type thing. But then when you get past the grand line and really learn about this world, you know it's a lot bigger than that. And I know they're trying to make it more interesting, but what keeps you reading is all those impactful moments in the series where you're like, this series is different from just a rinse and repeat type thing. I would give this live adaptation probably a 8 out of 10. It's good. I would recommend to watch it, even to new fans. But to new fans who like the live adaptation, I would highly, highly, highly recommend you to watch the anime or read the manga afterwards, because there's so much you're missing. It's kind of like Akira. After you watch the movie, you gotta read the manga because there's so much you're missing from the story. This has been AnythingTV. Deuces. Hey guys, I hope you guys enjoyed the video. I just want to say I took a little break from anime videos, but I'm back on track now. I'm back to giving the fans what they want. I just needed a little debrief to gain my love back for anime and manga content. But now we're back on track, and my next video is going to be a One Piece video. It's actually supposed to drop before this video, but I didn't know the live action was coming out so soon. So this video is coming out, and I'll probably have the One Piece video dropping around Wednesday maybe. I'll catch y'all later.